You're listening to Two Chunks and a Hunk. Movie musings for mostly everyone.
Welcome to Two Chunks and a Hunk. My name is Jordan Wonders, and this week I'm your chunk.
I'm Doge, and welcome to downtown Hunksville. Population? Us.
And I'm Carter, and I am not a gun. That's so creepy. That was trying to be the giant, but it wasn't.
Can you take it again as Dom
You didn't
Toretto,
even-
please?
Did you even say
yeah.
a word? Did you even say the
I did.
word that you're supposed
No, I didn't. So I get a redo by default. I'm Carter, and I'm not a chunk.
But you are, because
You are, though.
Because of
Doge
You are,
the
though.
just being normal.
Yeah.
Doge is the hunk, though. Tell me about it, dude. Tell me how.
Well, I had a fun reason, but, I think that you guys wanted to say something else about me. Seemed like there was maybe some mean stuff you wanted to say about me, about how maybe I have the same diet as the
I
Iron
literally
Giant.
was not even going to go into that.
Is there
I was,
is there
but not
something you
before
want to
he-
say to me?
I think
Well,
that
yes,
Iron
that's
Giant
sort of the
eats
whole
scraps
podcast.
like you eat scraps. That's all I'll say.
This is fair.
And your
This
heads
is
are close
fair.
to the same size. What do you want to?
And he's a hero, and people love him.
Yes.
He's like the main reason people watch the Iron Giant is for him.
Yeah.
He's
Great
like the main
guy, but
one
if you
of it.
hurt his favorite, he could cause massive destruction.
Yeah, I've got a dark side. Don't
does have a dark
don't
side.
cross me.
Zod.
Thanks for spoiling the movie we're talking about, by the way.
Oh,
Jerks.
sorry.
They already know.
Jerks.
They already know. It's the title of this file that they've downloaded. Hopefully you're downloading it. Don't stream it. If you love us, download it. I'm
Yeah.
the hunk because I went to a coffee shop and I got free coffee. It's the first time I've ever been treated differently because of my looks. And I really like it. It feels really
I don't
good.
think discrimination's that
No,
bad, dude. I got
actually
free coffee from it.
It actually feels really good to be treated differently because of the way you look.
Oh, you say you're discriminated against.
I
What
walked
all free
in
stuff did you
and
get? Go ahead.
they thought I was their manager at first. They were like, "Oh, dang, I thought you were our manager. He looks just like you." And I was like, "Wow, lucky guy." And then I tried to pay for my coffee and they said, "Nope, enjoy the friends and family discount specifically for the manager." So I was really happy about it. I mean, that was a good day for me.
If I were you, I'd start looking up like car dealerships nearby, what their managers look like. 'Cause
Yeah,
you
maybe I could
You could have much
could
bigger deals than a free coffee.
just cosplay as different managers across DFW and see
Can I
what
get
kind of free stuff I can get.
The free car discount, please, since I look like your manager. I'd love to get the free car discount if you don't mind. Good free coffee. Thanks for sharing.
people
coffee.
just dedicate their lives to you because you look like Jesus.
Did you drink it out of a junkyard? You trash eater.
Yeah.
Wow, dude,
All
there
right,
it
there we
is.
go.
Yeah.
Full circle.
That's
Got
it.
it out.
We are talking about the second place finalist in our Forgotten animation series, a series about 2D animation movies, non-Disney, that was
Disney.
voted on by you, our beloved listeners. And we thank you for your input. And the movie that we're talking about today is known as The Iron Giant. And I'm very excited to talk about this. But first, I do need a synopsis from Dossier.
Do we want a Nick again?
Why
Always.
would you even ask?
Nick Reganas writes,
Yes, he does.
1957, Rockwell, Maine. From the black void of outer space, a massive metal robot crash lands on Earth, sent by a distant civilization unknown to humankind. And as Hogarth Hughes, America's luckiest kid, has a chance encounter with the mysterious extraterrestrial visitor, an obsessed U.S. government agent embarks on a time-sensitive mission to capture the sentient android at all costs. With fear and prejudice creeping up on the neighborhood, is young Hogarth prepared to fight for his beliefs, protect his home, and save the Iron Giant?
As always, just
As always, exquisite.
Just a
work.
beautiful,
Exquisite.
a beautiful
Exquisite.
little wrap up
The
of
wickedly
what's going on
talented
here.
Nate
Yeah.
Reynolds.
This was both Nate Reynolds.
That was great.
This was both of your first times
Yee.
to watch this movie.
Yeah, I definitely felt like it. I was wondering if I had seen it, but like around the time that it came out, and I like blocked it out of my mind because I know there's
Sure.
things like Bambi, Fox and the Hound that are just like too emotional. And so sometimes like I didn't even really want to watch E.T. again because things like that make me sad. But
Good thing
It
this
was
is
great.
nothing like E.T.
yeah.
I'm kidding. It's big E.T. He's
No,
big
yeah, we
metal
know.
E.T. No, that was a joke. Can you guys laugh? Just give me a laugh. I'll edit it in. Just laugh right now. I'll edit that in after my joke.
Ha, I'm going to be insufferable on this episode.
Oh.
And then Doja's going to say
For
what's different
once.
than normal.
I didn't say it this time.
You were
That
leaning
wasn't me.
forward to. I watched you lean to the mic to say
I was going to say, go ahead.
I'm going to be a real pill.
What's different than
whole-
normal?
There it is.
Dang.
This
Can't believe
movie
you'd say that.
has a chokehold on me. Just a very, very special place in my heart for this movie. I rediscovered it a few years back, probably like 4 years ago at this point. I hadn't watched it since I was like a kid.
Vin had a
And-
Creative Wednesday post.
Yeah, I was like, let's go check out Vin's
You
good
told us
work.
about this.
And I had a month's worth of weekly counseling sessions devoted just to my reaction to this movie.
I love that.
Because I have a thing where I just don't cry. I feel emotions. I feel them. They don't come out of my face very good. And this movie, I've watched this twice in my adult life, once 4 years ago and once last night. And both times I have blubber cried.
Yeah, dude, huge.
And the only reason I didn't full tailspin last night is because Doge and Jess watched it with us, and I was like, "Keep it together, man. Keep it together, people.
Don't embarrass yourself in front of your
Keep it
new
together.
friend.
Don't show weakness. Don't show weakness. Keep it together." And I'll
He
tell you,
has to still think I'm stronger than him.
I'll tell you, when that big metal man just smiles and says the word Superman, it's game over for your boy.
Yeah, it's so
It is
sweet.
game over
Yeah.
for your boy. And I think it's because this movie is so well put together, so well paced, so well written,
Yeah.
and has something to say. And it just all culminates in this beautiful thing that is made for children and is super accessible, I think, at almost any age. If a kid is old enough to start to explore sort of the concept of death in life, I would say that this movie is perfect for like late elementary, middle school, probably.
It's very Brad Bird in that way.
It
where
is.
It's like this is like it's the same like tonally as The Incredibles, where it's like this is a movie that's great. Like kids are gonna love the superhero stuff, but like the whole story of like Helen thinking Bob's having an affair, and like it's very like accessible, I guess. Honestly, accessible to kids, and then feels written for adults.
Yeah,
at least
like
in terms of The Incredibles.
poignant enough to be meaningful to adults. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I think I do think that's unique. I think
Yeah.
there's tons of kids movies that are accessible to kids and fun for adults, but I think there's not a ton that are maybe even better as an adult than
Yeah.
they were as a kid. And this one is
When we
one
talk about
for me.
in the sense of like these technically made for younger audiences but accessible to adults, does that mean more of the jokes that adults get, the scenarios that adults get, or
To me,
like
it's
the
not
the
necessarily
narrative that
that
adults understand?
To me, it would be the
Sometimes.
narrative. Like something like Toy Story 3, I feel is a great example of
Yeah.
something that is like accessible to kids because it's bright and colorful and animated and fun, but like the theme of loss and moving on and like recognizing when it's time for a season in your life to change to the next season.
Yeah.
I don't think there's many like 8-year-olds that are like, yeah, I love that and I understand that.
It's time to move on. I'm 8
Right?
now.
Third grade's been fun, but it's just not serving me anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Too old for this.
there is, man, I'm telling you, I'm really going to be annoying about this. I think that this movie is so poignant and like perfect.
I think that's the desire. Like, you're supposed to feel that, like, that poignant, that melancholy at the end of it. This is based on a novel written by a dad to his 2 kids after the suicide of their mother, Sylvia Plath.
Mm-hmm.
Their last name is Hughes. That's where Hogarth and his mom get their last name here in the movie. And then Brad Bird turned it into a movie as a way of like processing the death of his sister, who died via gun violence. So like this, the whole thing I think is
Like hyper personal.
created in that really personal space of like, how do I understand death in life? And it invites the audience to feel like it's bad to kill. It's not bad to die. Like,
Yeah.
how do I process this? Yeah.
It's heavy stuff, dude.
It is. But then at the same time, in that sort of Disney way, that obviously that DNA is in Brad Bird, even though this isn't a Disney movie, it's funny and it's lighthearted. Like it's legitimately, I laughed out loud a bunch of times.
Yeah.
It's a great script.
It is.
Incredible
Just
script.
really fun.
Can I super
really
pump?
quirky.
Yeah.
My super pump is specifically the script and blocking, because
Yeah.
it doesn't feel like for a second this was written as an animated movie. It feels
Oh,
like
yeah,
we
for
decided animation is a great way to tell this story, but we're just going to write a great script. And like, even, I don't know if that's Brad Bird's directing, but like the blocking of these scenes, the physical comedy of this, like the nonverbal stuff is incredible. Like it is equally as effective as like a live action movie. I mean, we joked a little bit before we started recording that this is sort of like animated E.T., but like I do think the nonverbals in this are as effective as if it was live action E.T.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think it's just an absolute triumph in animation. It's really, really impressive.
Yeah.
Can you talk about cinematography with an animated movie?
Yeah,
Sure.
Since there's technically not a camera.
sure. But it's still intentional choices of what's in the frame, what's out of the frame, where it is. in
Yeah, the way they
reference
choose to
the
frame
edges
the
of
story
frame.
is great. I think it is creative. And that also felt like an actual, like real person movie. The way
Yeah.
that we're trying to take, like our shot is from essentially looking through the windshield of a car that the giant takes, and it kind of shakes a little bit and we see him eat the car. Like it was pretty immersive for a cartoon. And it was so interesting to see that this was one of the first times in a 2D movie that we had a character that was entirely
Mhm.
3-dimensional. One of my favorite decisions that we made, though, was not to try and blatantly like make it shiny and look so different from everything else. I think
Yeah.
Yeah.
the Iron Giant fits in really well. Like I'm never going to forget what like the lamp or gold looks like in Aladdin, or the
Yeah,
piers of the palace, because it was just like, this doesn't really belong here. It's kind of like if you were to watch a 3D movie without the glasses on. You're like, oh, those are the bits that are supposed to come at me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But the way
for
that
sure.
they chose to keep the Iron Giant still looking very 2D but making 3D movement was,
Yeah.
I think that was really smart, because that had to be integrated in. He didn't need to feel separate from Hogarth, and he never did. So that was a smart move.
Something
I would
else.
argue that it's things like that and the overall vibe of this movie that, and this might be spicy, and we can camp out here or we can not camp out here.
Sure.
I think Brad Bird is who J.J. Abrams has billed himself as.
Can you unpack
think-
that a little?
J.J. Abrams has sort of billed himself as, listen, I'm doing the Spielberg thing. I'm sort of a modern Spielberg vibe. I think people went for a long time, and less so since Star Wars, went to J.J. Abrams for that. I mean, I think Super 8 is the clearest example of
It's
that.
a great.
But I think
It's a great example. Yeah.
I think Abrams sort of billed himself as like, hey, I'm new Spielberg.
Yeah.
But I don't know that much of the the narrative quality, maybe even the heart, the subtext of Spielberg was present in much of J.J. Abrams' work that at least I've seen. But I think Brad Bird totally nails that at least that Spielberg style here in The Iron Giant. I would have to rewatch The Incredibles and Tomorrowland with that lens, I think, to be able to fully articulate that. But there is something like very Spielberg about this, even down to the like, hey, we're going to do a 3D animated character. We're going to push technology forward, but you're not going to notice that we're doing that because we're still prioritizing story.
Sure.
Yeah, I like that.
I think if I can break it down the way that I'm thinking about it, I would say
drop
that,
a beat for you?
Yeah, if you don't mind. I would say that J.J. Abrams has taken inspiration from Spielberg, like stylistically, but I actually think that maybe, to me at least, Spielberg's greatest strength as a movie maker is like the heart, like the ethos of his movies.
Big time.
Yeah,
and I think that Brad Bird has the heart and the ethos of a Steven Spielberg, which is why even though something like Super 8 is so Spielberg inspired, this feels more Spielberg.
It just looks
than
like
anything.
Spielberg.
Yes, right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that the most important thing that Spielberg does, the thing that I always love the most about his movies is the heart of those movies.
Sure.
Big heart.
And so
it usually comes back to like family is unquestionably good.
Right.
And like I think that is something shown here.
Lens
like
of
obviously.
a child most of the time.
Yeah,
too, right?
totally.
Lens of a kid.
Yeah. Brad Bird absolutely nails that. And I think in conversation with, Brad Bird / just the Iron Giant sort of viewed against, not even against, I don't want to say against, viewed alongside other things coming off of The Road to El Dorado, which also included like big name casting in these voice acting roles. And we talked a lot about like, hey, you don't have to hire big names to do your voices. You can have just good voice actors. This is a movie where almost every part is a name or at least a face that you would recognize. There's not a lot of like voice actors in this, but I'm going to say every single role works. Harry Connick Jr. is awesome as Dean.
Harry Connick Jr. is great as
Jennifer Aniston, awesome as Mrs. Hughes. Shooter McGavin is awesome as Kent, the government agent. I just think that every voice works.
There is parts of Iron Giant, even though the world is bigger. I mean, we end on the other side of the world. We go into space a couple times. It does have a bit of the one act feel in terms of the size of the cast. And like, it really does feel like 6 players, and the fact that those were done well and very appropriately. It's like we get Harry Connick Jr. because this character is an artist that loves jazz. You're like, okay, well, what came first? It's like, I don't know.
Yeah, sure.
Is it how they wrote this or is it because they wanted to build it around Harry? It's good to have the audience ask that question. That means it's pretty immersive and it fits.
It's well cast. Yeah.
Sure. So, honestly, it made me think when I was watching last night, Jennifer Aniston should do more voice work. She actually has a really great voice for characters.
Yeah.
She sort of has like a distinctive way of talking and a distinctive, not accent, but like her dialect is really great for like an animated character. I thought she did excellent. The other thing that I noticed, having watched it, 4 years ago, semi-recently, this movie is quick, dude.
Yeah, very.
Like, there's really not a wasted scene in this entire movie.
Yeah, less than 90 minutes, almost like 80 minutes, right?
Yeah. I think with
it
credits,
pretty
it's
fast.
like 92.
And I had thought about super dumping on that, but I feel like they use the time so well.
I agree.
It's
that's
fast, but
exactly
it doesn't
as
feel
long as
rushed
it needs
to
to
me.
be.
Can I'll super dump. I'll break the barrier
Ooh.
as the guy who's most likely to slash your tires if you say something bad about this movie. I'll go ahead and start. My super dump, I think, is the discrepancy in the size of the giant. It really feels like the Iron Giant is as big as the scene requires it to be at that moment. I'm thinking specifically about him fitting in that sort of tiny barn behind Hogarth's house, him bending over to fix the train track versus the size of the giant that is attacking the town towards the end. Those are two different things. That one of them is about 50 feet tall and the other one is about 100 feet tall.
Yeah.
And the scale of the giant seems to just slide all over the place throughout the whole movie. And it sort of makes it, I wish that he stayed massive for the entire thing, but he does sort of shrink like objectively against the rest of the world throughout the movie. And I think that bothers me a little bit. I wish there was more consistency in his size, because it's that part of what makes this movie so powerful to me is the size and capability for destruction that he has.
Yeah. Seeing the switch when Iron Giant just goes like, I don't know, with the alternate like name.
He goes
would be,
murder
but it was-
mode.
Yeah. Terrifying.
Yeah.
And felt a lot like some robots that we see in The Incredibles, to be honest. It was fun to
Yeah, it really did.
see the destruction there too. But I had, like, for my super dump, I'm caught in between, and I'm going to have y'all help me make my decision
Okay.
on my
Interesting.
super dump. I understand it's subjective.
Do you think our listeners are going to be mad that they
One
don't get
was-
to like, vote on this?
Possibly. One was when, so to me, missile isn't necessarily gun, but it is the result of gun of some kind. I thought it would have hurt the narrative for him to not just kamikaze this missile and meet it head on and have that supernova in the sky. But it felt like he was also
Champagne
capable.
supernova.
It also felt like he was capable of shooting his own missile to just meet it up there. You know, this could be me not wanting pain to feel so painful, you know, to feel so bad. So maybe that's not my super dump. But I did have a little bit of an issue. And again, it's all diluted super dumps. That doesn't mean it's not healthy. Whereas diluted super dumps in real life would be not a good thing. But this one is that I don't know that Annie and Dean needed to ship up at the end of the like post credit. I think we could have been friends. There wasn't enough in that in terms of the heart that was like, man, who's pining for these two to get together?
Yeah.
Was there? Like, I just don't know if they have enough time on screen together for that to even matter. I'm fine for them to hang out in the park together, but maybe they're like, well, we need to see all of our main characters in one of the final scenes in the park. So how do we get Dean here? Is he just a friend, or do we just go ahead and have him be in a relationship with Annie? That just felt like cavalier. It didn't feel very intentional.
I think it's more like it's less like Annie needed a husband and more like Hogarth needed like a father figure.
Yeah, I think if this was a live action movie, I think if this was a live action Spielberg movie, first of all, it'd be 45 minutes longer.
Mm-hmm.
And there would probably be like a mean boyfriend or something of Mom's that gets dumped along the way. You know what I mean? I think that they're like, if and I understand what I'm saying is if the movie was different, this is how it would be different for that not to be frustrating.
If the movie
I totally
was
get
different, it would be different.
Yeah. Everything else just felt so tight and like clean. And that was just kind of
I could totally see that.
extra.
So my response to the missile thing, the only thing that I'm thinking of is he wasn't in murder mode anymore. He was sort of in hero mode. Like friendly Iron Giant wants to save
never,
people.
Yeah, never murder mode again.
He doesn't want to be a gun.
Of murder mode.
Yeah.
I kind of think so.
Gotcha. So then, then my super dump then by default ends up being everything about Hogarth. So no, I'm kidding.
No, I think
the
those are
ship.
both fair criticisms, 100%. I just think
it
that
was
you're stupid.
everything
for
else
having
just
them.
felt so put together, and that was a bit
Sure.
Mm.
No, I can hear that in a movie that feels like everything's put in a spot specifically for a reason.
because
When
it's not
something
that
feels like
Hogarth
it's just
is
kinda
not
thrown
doesn't
in.
even look older at all.
Right.
And so it's like, yo, next day, relationship. I don't like that it's like, hey, if we go through big trauma together, like world-saving type stuff, we have to get married someday. Or we have to play Wii Sports.
Sure.
That's just something that kind of irritates me in movies because it doesn't make sense. Either it's a romantic comedy or it's not. We don't need to have that, in my opinion. There's plenty of good Disney movies where it's never like, oh, new mom, new dad, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, no dad, no mom anymore. Lost them both. You know, it's like, I don't know.
Well, Brad's trying to
fine.
break the cycle.
Yeah.
That's a Brad thing. You know, that
You
is a
gotta be
Brad
the first.
thing.
Did
Trying to break the
Hogarth's,
cycle.
did Hogarth's dad die in World War II? Is what we're to understand?
I think so.
There's a picture of his dad getting the plane.
Mm-hmm. Which is even more significant in that, like,
Yeah.
lost his dad to war. Here comes a war machine.
Yep.
Wild.
It's just
It's it's
thoughtfully
hard to
written,
talk
man.
about.
Yeah.
I get emotional. It's
It's
fine to be
so
emotional, by the way,
thoughtfully
friends.
written.
I'm one of the big champions for emotion. Let it out. Feel what you need to feel.
I like emotion a lot. I just also have a color wheel with emotions on it to help me identify the way that I feel about things.
Yeah, feelings words. Yeah.
So
I would take a shot at you.
I feel emotions. I just don't know what they are.
I
I gotta be like, I'm mad. And I'm like, oh, no, actually, I'm sad and embarrassed.
You're like, rock, tree, rock.
Yeah, dude. Pretty much. No, we'll dive into a lot of the deeper stuff in the back half. Before we head to shout announcements, I just want to say that I think maybe the funniest physical gag, top 5 funniest physical gags in a 2D animated movie is Kent getting his head slammed in the bathroom door when Hogarth turns around and pretends to be pooping.
Yes.
I just
very funny.
think that whole sequence is so funny, dude.
I think the entire sequence with the Iron Giant's hand in their house is
great.
Incredibly funny. When he says grace over dinner, like legit laughing out loud at that. That's so funny.
Yes.
Get out, Satan. Yeah, it's so well written in that I think scenes like that show that you're right. It is not. It doesn't feel like this is just like a funny kids movie. It feels like it's
and like when he has espresso, when he's trying to convince Dean, like, I drink coffee. Like that is so not something that a kid, like if I'm 6 years old watching this, I have no idea what's going on in that scene. You know what I mean? Brad Bird himself personally animated that scene.
Oh, awesome.
Which is amazing. I just love that.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
Got to get that energy right for young Hogarth, you know?
Got to get it.
Got to make sure, he's bouncing off them walls. Young Ho?
Young Ho,
yeah.
Young Ho, yeah. No,
Young Hog Hug.
Hog Hug, dude. Let's hog hug our way right over to shout announcements real quick. Welcome to shout announcements. It's the part of the show we give shout outs and make announcements. Shout out to, just the killer vocals.
Yeah, honestly, hottest vocal of all time on that track.
Knock them out, Vox, if I'm being honest with you.
Wow.
People will be surprised that it only took 4 or 5 takes.
Yeah, I think that was take 5.
Can you believe?
Wait, 4 or 5 days of takes.
Yes.
Sorry. That's
okay.
Takes.
I'm going to say that was day of takes 5.
Yes.
Yeah. It takes of 5 takes.
Dakes? That was Dakes takes 5.
That's fun.
Next week, continuing our Forgotten series, we are going to be discussing the first place winner of that vote. Thanks to you, you beautiful babes, you wonderful chunkies, our listeners. You voted on The Prince of Egypt. And
oh man,
very excited to watch this film. Haven't seen it since I was a wee lad.
I'm
excited. Getting pumped up about that. Yeah.
Wow.
This was not a staple for me. I've seen it one time as a child.
Really?
I've seen it a couple. Pastor's Kid, actual good, like Bible movie. It's pretty popular.
Yeah, between this and Bible Man, we were eating good for good quality.
Bible Man. Get in and vote for Spring Delirium. We are in our final 4. We're getting to the final. It is almost time to crown the champion of this 2D Forgotten animated series. Guys, I want to give a little special nugget here in the shout announcements to maybe, wag the finger at those that skip through this section. I want to share something with you guys. Is that okay?
Yeah.
You know how I always mess up actors' names? Can you recall? How I mess up actors' names?
Vaguely? That sounds, maybe.
We found out I just do this with words in my life. For the longest time, I've said this before maybe, I've called brain freezes cold headaches. I have pronounced peninsula until I was 34 years old. Peninsula. SH. And instead of crevice, and yes, it comes up a lot, especially if you lose your phone in the couch. Crevasse.
That is a different word.
That's a different word.
I have thought the word crevasse was crevice my entire life.
It is crevice with a fancy hat on.
Yeah, do I just keep it though? I think I'm just going to keep saying crevasse.
It makes you sound a lot more like mysterious and distinguished.
Crevasse is just 2 crevices in a trench coat with a fake mustache on.
Crevasse. Anyways,
nice.
I just thought I would share that. That's
things.
just that's like a taste of like what you could get in Discord. If you had consistent access to us, you could learn things like that all the time.
It's true.
So if you want to get on that $5 tier, jump on over into Discord. We'd love to have you.
And if you're like, no, that's too much, $3 bonus episode. Bonus episode.
then.
Bonus episode.
Dungeons and Dordons.
Dordons and Dordons.
Dordons and Doggins.
Let's go back to the show. Now's the part where I'm going to become absolutely intolerable.
Now is the time.
Oh, I didn't know that it hadn't started.
I think it's about now. I'm going to go ahead and super pump for.
Okay.
You can't super pump the whole movie.
Okay. Here he
That's
goes.
one of the only super pumps I can't allow. You can't super pump the whole movie. You can't do that.
The story of something rebelling against its own nature, choosing to be something that it was not supposed to be because that thing is better. And the idea of something created for like destruction being allowed to decide for itself that it would just rather make art and be friends is like the most poignant, beautiful thesis statement of a kid's movie that I can think of. Every tear out of my eyes in this movie is a direct result of the giant's decision to save instead of kill. And I know that that's like, duh, that's the movie. But I think that, I talked in my counseling sessions about my reaction to this movie. There was a lot of conversation about how I oftentimes feel like I do it to myself and am sort of pigeonholed by other people into the like confrontational category of things. That was sort of like, it's what I feel like my superpower has always been is I'm good at confrontation, unafraid of confrontation.
Right.
I'm good at navigating those waters. And sometimes, especially when I was younger, escalate. And I think a big theme of my like 20s has been, how do I not do that? Because I don't like people like that. And I don't like being that person, the escalate person. I don't mind being good at confrontation, but there's been such a theme in my life of reprogramming myself to not just go for the kill in an argument because I want to win every interaction that I have.
Superman.
Yeah, dude. This movie just resonated with me when I watched it as a 24, 25-year-old, just watching this thing that's supposed to be a big gun and shoot things go. I would rather just not. And instead, if I can use my size to protect rather than hurt, I would rather do that. And I think it just spoke to something in me. And that story beat for me is I was telling Doge last night, knowing what was coming. There are early beats in the movie, the deer, the Superman comic, his refusal to pretend to be a Tomo in the junkyard when they're playing, he puts the S on his chest to be Superman. That all leads up to the moment that he says, I am not a gun, runs away, and then the whole thing starts. By the time that he chooses to fly off, and I think the thing that makes it stick for me is not that he's not sad about it. He's like excited to be Superman for a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to go save everybody. And it just wrecks me. I mean, fully levels me.
Yeah.
And it's so powerful. So my super pump is the decision to let the Iron Giant choose what he wants to be.
Yeah.
Is so good. And went directly over my head as a kid. I was just like, cool giant. Of course he's going to save everybody. That's what heroes do. But as an adult, it just lands so differently for me. And that is unequivocally my super pump.
This is a moment that I feel like WB got it the most right they will ever get it in terms of like corporate synergy specifically. Because if that was like
outside of Pinky and the Brain.
If that was like a made up superhero for this movie, if he was like, I love Ultra Guy, I want to be Ultra Guy, I don't want to be a Tomo, 100%. It doesn't work as well.
100%.
But the fact that Warner Brothers is like, hey, we can actually go ahead and use real Superman for this because we also own Superman. I don't know, man. Like that works so well. And I think WB has been chasing that like cross IP synergy high ever since, and they've never made it.
No, them?
That's so funny. Dude, Jordan, I just want to, take an aside to thank you again for sharing that. I think that's one of my favorite super pumps that I've ever heard on this podcast.
Well, thank you.
I want to take some time too to just be like, movies are art unequivocally, and art can deeply move us. And it depends on who's looking at it and what it's saying back. But I think often, the more that we do this podcast, we're not doing it for really any kind of success. I think this just gives us a direct line to talk to each other about art once a week.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a gift. And so, I think it's just so sweet. Movies can absolutely do that. And I love that that's been a part of even your therapeutical, like your counseling journey too. That's how it is for me. I find very often that I talk in and teach in like metaphors to movies. If people don't know about like Star Wars or Lord of the Rings, I have to reframe a lot of how I teach because I'm like, man, this is worthless to you. This is completely over your head. But I try and find some kind of connection to some kind of art in some way. I appreciate you sharing that. My super pump for this movie is just the relationship. I think my super pump really in a movie called The Iron Giant is probably Hogarth. Because it was such a great balance of innocence, but not completely naive.
Yeah.
There were things that he knew that the grown-ups didn't. And then there's the relatable thing that becomes relatable from the other side. It's relatable as a kid to be like, you know what? Sometimes I do feel like I see things differently because it's not as crowded up there.
For sure.
In my mind and in my soul. And then you become an adult and you're like, I got to listen more. It's amazing when a single character can kind of be the crux of both sides. And I think Hogarth does that. And it's just, he's naturally more relatable as a human. The Iron Giant is relatable to, in wonderful ways. But to see Hogarth as a kiddo that's not afraid to speak up, and the similarities too that he even has with the Iron Giant. Hogarth has every reason to not be conflict averse, to like approach conflict because he's upset and he's living in a home without his dad, probably at an age of things that he didn't really understand very well.
Mm-hmm.
And so we see anger from him a lot, and there wasn't too much that the Iron Giant did to just calm Hogarth down outside of just being himself. But Hogarth was wonderful. Yeah. And I think
a great kid performance too.
I was about to say Hogarth is a really good movie kid, like performed well, written authentically, like kid authentically.
That's the other Spielberg flavor, dude.
Exactly. That feels very E.T., very Elliot.
It feels like Elliot. He's just animated Elliot.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And my super pump is Hogarth. And also the flex of the writer on a more funny note of like, hey, I'm going to make a really narratively strong character that pulls at the heartstrings and give them the name of someone who like helps aid the main guy in torture chambers.
Yeah,
like the person who like rolls in the half-dead bodies on the cart.
Our main character's name is Hungblower, dude. Let's get after it.
It's just wild. Hogarth Hughes. There's not another one,
Yeah.
But
It's an odd enough name that if I ever hear the name Hogarth in anything, I will assume it is a reference to this.
Yeah. I was like, is that it's Game of Thrones, right? No. Okay.
No.
Iron Giant.
Hold the Garth, dude.
We're being too positive.
The Garth. He's just bear hugging Garth Brooks. Hold the Garth.
Can I bring us crashing down to earth?
You always do.
Dump? I think this is the flimsiest super dump of all time, but I'm going to say it confidently, and you guys aren't even going to be able to tell that I don't really believe it. I think the ending of the movie would have been better if instead of Hogarth waking up and opening his window to let the screw roll out, and then we see the Iron Giant like assembling himself in Antarctica. I think at the end of the movie, if the last shot is Hogarth sleeping in bed and then a slow zoom in on the box that the screw is in, and then it lights up blue and then cut to black and then we start credits. That's how I would end it. So Brad, if you want to do it again, like just
Give
you
it
could
another
text
shot,
me,
man.
call me, give me a shot. But that's how
the
I would have
thing.
done it.
I get that. All kids and 34-year-old Carter that didn't remember the ending needed to see the smile. I needed to see. I didn't need to have any question
100%.
that this jaw screw was going back to my big lovable boy, and he's totally fine. Guys, I definitely didn't see this movie or definitely blocked it out of my mind and was too sad to watch the end because I thought that we don't get the Iron Giant back. I thought he's just dead. And so for me to sit at the end of this, my face warm from emotion, wet emotion, and to see him live was just like, it was amazing. I couldn't believe that he was alive. I had no idea. And I guarantee you, I watched this last night, today at work. We're doing this in the morning on a weekday when I'm working. Will be one of the more productive days of my entire life. I'm walking around with my head held so high that the Iron Giant actually never dies. And I don't think we made another movie outside of the sequel to this, Ready Player One, in which we actually see the Iron Giant alive. And that's perfect. Way to go, Brad.
Yes.
Yeah. Don't ever touch it again.
Way to go. Incredibles 3 probably coming out. You know, it's like he's not going to keep this story going because it was just a one and done. But really, one of the main reasons is it's a one and done is because of M. Night Shyamalan. Because Sixth Sense came out the same day. And I think the good thing about art is like, while it's subjective, what's tough about movies as art is there is the economical side of things, which don't make it subjective. Like things don't get to go any further if you don't make the money. And this lost, guys, when I was looking up Blockbusted a year or so ago of like lists of the movies that lost the most money, Iron Giant comes up quite a bit. It lost $50 million.
I think it found most of its success in like home release and like being on Cartoon Network and stuff.
Yeah. Because it's still, I mean, it got second place, right? That doesn't really happen. Yeah. The popularity of that doesn't happen really for a movie that
Jupiter Ascending's not getting
bombed.
second place.
Right.
No.
Right.
No. But unbelievable that it lost all that money.
I know.
It also...
Because if there...
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, because if there was... We did not get any kind of animated feature Oscar until 2001.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the Academy would have liked this movie. This is on IMDb. It's a top 250 movie.
Yeah.
85 Metacritic score. That's stupid. 85? Anytime you're over 80, but to be
crazy.
Pretty close to 92 is unreal.
100%.
Great movie.
I think this movie, there's something that feels, because this movie's what, 24 years old?
Yeah.
This movie's 24 years old. It feels like it could have released yesterday to me. It's it helps that this type of animation feels really timeless. Like when it's done this well, it doesn't really age all that much.
Yeah.
And so it still feels really fresh and fun. It's animated well. It's colorful. But also, I think that the general, not to use this word again, but the general ethos of this movie feels very strong today. Like it feels very relevant. And so watching this movie, it doesn't feel like it's like, man, people used to feel like that.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, today still feels like that.
Yeah. This is a Spielberg thing too. Do you think it aids the timelessness of it to go ahead when you make it, have it be made in the past?
Yes.
With just life narratives? It's like, this kind of stuff happens all the time. It has nothing to do with the context of like what technology we're using. We're going to go ahead and go back, really because the significance of Sputnik in this case.
Sure.
And just the fear of what could be. Yeah. Which if we're talking about themes too, you know, the one that resonates with Jordan is probably one of the more paramount, but there are 2 or 3 strong, like obvious themes in this. And one of those being the fear of the unknown, right? Yeah. Like, let's just play it safe and blow it up.
Responding to the unknown with violence. Yeah.
Yeah. We talk about timelessness too, and nothing about this is cool. But like the fact that we're talking about I am not a gun.
Yeah.
And, you know, we live in a nation that's the gun violence is ridiculous. Mm-hmm. I think we're at 150 mass shootings in America this year.
Yeah.
And so it's just like, man, this is relatable. And this has always been relatable, unfortunately. But yeah, there's a way to do that. And the fact that we chose the landscape of a cartoon.
It's just so thoughtfully written. Like
Yeah.
it's one of the most thoughtful movies that I can remember seeing for our podcast, honestly.
Yeah. I think it holds
That's great.
very firm to the C.S. Lewis, like the idea that a good kid's movie is just a good movie. A good kid's story is just a good story.
Yeah.
You know, if it's not good enough for you, it's not good enough for a kid.
Yeah.
I think this really holds firm to that. Has everybody super pumped and dumped? I feel like we're missing one.
No,
I
we're
did.
in.
Does did you super pump?
It was the blocking in the script.
Oh yes, yeah.
He
for
was
sure.
the first.
Yep.
The first of his
Blocking
name.
in script. So the only thing that I didn't super pump technically was the drawing and the sound, but
Right.
so half of it.
Hey,
50%
soundtrack
of the
rules,
movie.
man. The soundtrack's really
great.
good.
It's Michael Kamen like doing a very, very passable, like sort of send up of a John Williams type of score. It's
Mhm.
wonderful. Like this is the exact kind of sonic landscape this movie needs. And that's another thing that
Yeah.
makes it feel super Spielberg is that it's very like I don't know, sounds like that late romantic composition style.
For sure.
It's really good.
Yeah.
Last night
Yeah.
when the movie finished, I forgot Shooter McGavin existed. And I was like, man, Kent sure sounds like the bad guy from Flubber. Turns out, sure is.
Same guy.
Yep.
Sure is.
Perfect
Which is
casting,
great.
dude. What a
Yeah.
he's a great government snob.
He's so good at
Um,
playing a slime ball, and I'm sure he's a great dude in real life, but he's
Yeah.
so good
Well,
at
he-
playing a
he
total
wasn't-
slime.
He wasn't the slime ball in Flubber. Flubber was the slime.
Nice.
Was the slime.
Nice, dude.
The slime was Flubber.
Wowzers.
Man. My new super pump is that I just realized these shorts I have on have a crusty pocket. There must have been something that got washed in there. Oh, it looks like chocolate.
Yikes.
Did you guys
Nice.
hear the sound of the gates shutting in my brain to not let any jokes out? Did you guys hear the sound of the slam of the levee? The dam that just closed in my brain and stopped all the jokes? That's called growth.
Look at him. What a big boy.
Keep going.
That's adulthood. And I'm proud.
Most graphic photo.
It's time to rate this movie using the scientific cinema scale, the same science that was used to craft our big, lovable boy. It is perfect and as follows. The best thing we could ever say about a movie is own it, don't lend it, buy that poster. The next best thing is buy it. That's followed by rent it and then stream it. And after that is forget it. And last but certainly least, the worst thing we could ever say about a movie. God hath forsaken us.
I'll go poster, obviously. Obviously a poster. This is an IMDb top 250. This is a Doge top 10, probably. Top 15.
Dude, listen.
Incredible.
We got to start talking about which ones are getting bumped out of your top 10.
I know.
I love
it's
that.
Like, it's like once a month I say something's a top 10. But yeah, this is, I mean, I love E.T. E.T. is my favorite movie of all time. And so, of course, I love this.
This is
as well.
so E.T. I definitely thought of you there. I
It
buy the
is.
poster too. There's no reason not to. There really isn't. It's also fun that we had a movie that was this popular, non-2D or 2D non-Disney animated. And it's not a musical, right? It's like
Yeah.
storytelling without having to use that. And I'm not saying that's like a crutch or anything, but it was just fun. I loved it so much. Everything about it.
See, I think I totally think that sometimes the musical element, look at Road to El Dorado, the musical element was a crutch to fill out time.
Mhm.
I think that sometimes having the courage to make a kid's movie without songs is a big deal. Oh, Carter. Why did you do that?
Why you do it?
That's disgusting.
Carter just sent us.
happened?
Carter just texted us a picture of his crusty pocket.
What happened?
Did you hear the doors close again? Just down on either side. No
Now
jokes
I'm going to
in,
send
no
you
jokes
guys.
out.
Iron
I'm just going to
doors.
send you guys a picture of the Iron Giant poster I'm going to buy.
Is it the one from? Oh, wow!
Love it, huh?
What a great poster.
Love that one, huh?
That's excellent.
Jordan,
Rarely
great
does
movie.
a poster
So
just
sad.
encapsulate an entire movie.
That's too
I
much.
really like
'Cause
the
that deer is gonna die
IMDb
soon.
Yeah.
poster.
That like 50s, like
Ugh.
B movie style.
Yes,
Yeah.
it came from outer space at the top. And for that reason only, just because I like the poster, no other reason. I'm buying the poster for this movie. Of course I am. To me, this is a perfect film. I
All
just
of our super dumps were so reachy.
I know. I can't
You're exactly right.
I can't explain much beyond, even if I didn't have like a visceral reaction to this movie every time I watch it, I would still love it just as much. But the fact that this movie also sort of reminds me that my tear ducts do work.
That's good.
What
is the noise it meant? Is it just like a?
Yeah. Anytime
Bunch of
I
dust.
cry, the first 2 minutes are just, and then the tears finally come, and it sort of bubbles and gurgles at first, like, and then they start to flow. No,
That's actually pleasant.
I did a real cartoony cry at the beginning of my cry last night, where the tears go up in your eyes, like they're filling up goggles. I noticed that like the tears are like, and then I blinked and then they fell down. But you can ask Doge. I'm not ashamed of my emotions. I'm just bad at emotions. But when he says Superman, I whimpered. I mean, out loud.
Oh,
Like he said Superman, I was like, "Whoa." Like out loud, I made the sound. I'm tearing up
so
talking
cute.
about it right now. Oh, it just gets me so good
he
every
was
time.
He was being a real baby about it.
Just
I was
a total
laughing, dude.
baby.
I thought it was so funny. It was
Just
hilarious.
You
big
was laughing
toddler
at him.
energy over here.
just had your phone out recording him being a baby.
Dude, hey,
You missed most of the movie.
Callie, my wife, she's going to get mad at me for saying this. Only when it's about movies and stuff. She laughs at me every time I cry because I don't ever cry. And so when I do, she's laughing. But it's more like in the way that you would laugh at a squirrel that got its leg caught in something. And you're like, come on, buddy, I'm going to help you out of it. Not hurt, but like, you're silly, man. And then you like get its leg out and it's free to go. That's the way she laughs.
That's cute.
Don't forget that next week we're going to be talking about your first place voted movie that better be better than this. The Prince of Egypt. Very excited to watch this movie.
Doge, I'm so excited. You've never seen it.
No, I have.
Who hasn't seen it?
None of us.
All of
Oh,
us.
Chelsea hasn't seen it. My wife hasn't seen it. It's going to be her first watch.
I remind
you
you of Chelsea.
Yeah.
I mean,
if you get free coffee, if you look like the manager, what do you get if you look like my wife?
those are the doors closing in my brain to stop all the jokes. I'm an adult now. Sex. To end today's episode, I would like for each of us
Just right before the door closed.
just one. So Indiana Jones hatted that one single
I
joke
thought the
out.
same thing.
I was
Sorry,
going to
man.
say that too.
Sorry, guys.
Jordan and I are such big fans.
Yeah, I've never seen it. Seems like something I could be into though, if I gave it a
Can
chance.
I tell you,
Let's
I'm
just all-
worried about Dial of Destiny.
Of course.
for
Dude,
you.
I think
Of
it's
course.
going to be absolute trash.
Oh, I'm so worried.
Hey, I'll tell you,
I almost want to see it with you to just like hold your hand. Like,
Phoebe,
it's okay.
Phoebe
Are you
Waller-Bridge
guys
is
going
never
to
a
laugh at me
down.
while I cry during that movie?
Yes.
No.
Phoebe Waller-Bridge is never a bad choice for anything, and so I'll take it. I'm excited.
Well,
No, I think it's going to
No,
be bad.
it's Phoebe Bridgers. Are you getting them mixed up?
Yeah, my fault.
don't do that. Don't do that.
Oh, man.
Don't do that.
Phoebe Waller-Bridge, she's in that band, Smart Fella. It's a pretty good joke. If I do say so myself.
It's a good joke.
And I do. To end today's episode, I'd like for each of us to say our name and what the first thing that we would do once we discovered the Iron Giant was friendly. For 2 Chunks and a Hunk, my name is Jordan Wonders, and I would have him pick me up and take me to my freshman college English professor's house and just step on it.
Oh,
I'd make sure
my
nobody was in there.
gosh.
I'd make sure nobody was in
Sure.
there. All the people in the
Evacuate
pets
the
out,
house.
safe. Then I step on his house because he gave me a failing grade on a final that I passed, and I hate him.
10 years ago. Still feels fresh though.
Wow, it was 10 years ago. Don't say that.
Wow, y'all are so old.
It was actually 10.5 years ago. You got to do that in toddler time. I'm 10. It's 10 and a half.
It's 126 months.
Almost as many months as hours that James Franco's arm was stuck in a boulder.
Wow.
Dang.
Wow. I'm Doge, and I would ask him if he could fly immediately.
Yeah,
That's
why
the most
didn't we ask
unrealistic
that?
thing about this movie is that Hogarth at the very end is like, he can fly? My dude,
That's
he
not a
came
big
from
question.
space. He came from space. You should have asked him that first thing. Like, number one, do you speak English? Number two, do you fly?
Pretty awesome moment, though, huh?
Yeah, it's really good.
I'm Carter, and make me breakfast.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Iron Chef, perhaps?
Mmm.
There it is.
Chef Giant?
Iron Chef Giant. I think also I'd be down for like Iron Giant feels like gonna always protect me. So maybe I go check out my biggest fears with him by my side.
Go jump
Ooh.
off.
I'm like, is there a way for you to kind of be a
Spiders.
submarine? Can we just go see what's down there?
Yeah.
I don't think I
trust
like
you.
that.
Let's go see. Y'all, I had a nightmare about the eel from
From Mario?
Super Mario Brothers.
Did you really?
Yes. The fact that they chose to bring that bad boy back,
Yeah.
Nah.
that even scared me big.
So that movie should be rated PG-35, right? Like you still would have appreciated a parent going with you.
Yeah.
Just
Please
a little
come
handhold.
with
That's all
me.
I'm asking for. Just a little handhold.
Yeah.